Hey guys, welcome to a recap of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 14, Wreck-It Ralph. I know it was called Wreck-It Ralph, but there was other positive things going on in this episode that we need to highlight. I am grateful for a guest appearance by Shamia and Cynthia because they did added a little bit to this episode. And I'm glad that Tanya served a little bit this episode. She really wanted the girls, to pay attention to her storyline, which is, her wanting to have a child and now her being pregnant. So let's get into this episode. There's a lot to cover and to, discuss about. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. But let's get into this recap, y'all. Guys, we know that at the end, Drew and Ralph ultimately both filed for divorce and they are separated. So we know this, but we actually see how we got to that point. So we open up this episode with seeing them on a date. Now, Drew goes to counseling, not they. Drew goes to counseling, and as the advice of her counselor, they go on a date once a week, at least once a week, which is good for their marriage, but I don't think it's good for it to always be on the show. I feel like we've seen all their dates on the show, and I don't know if they can do a date without the cameras because I feel like Drew needs us as a witness because this date was so off-putting. I was not comfortable, even though the date was supposed to be fun. They were out bowling, eating wings and fries. You would think that would be fun. That should have been a vibe, but I feel like their issue is that they talk too much about work and other things, everything else that's going on in their lives instead of just focusing on it just being a simple date. So that just goes to show that it's on both ends. Their communication is quite poor. I felt like Ralph was trying to get Drew to get the message that he wants her to call her daddy. Like, just call him daddy. He doesn't have to go through all this. Just say it. Just make him happy. Simple wins like that, just to make him happy. But I feel like it's like a war between these two. Like, they always seem to be at odds with each other instead of making it easy. It seems like they like for it to go just difficult. Now, the one thing about Drew is that she is not a quitter. We learned that Ralph has given up on attending marriage counseling, but Drew has been consistent and been doing the work, just focusing on herself and what she can do in her part, which is good. But I feel like a marriage, it takes two people, and I wish that Ralph didn't give up on counseling and wants to show up for this marriage. It seems quite unfortunate, especially when you see how they communicate, how they handle simple like conversations. Now, the two in their date, they talk about work and they share their upcoming plans, which I think it is not a good topic of conversation, especially for a date. I think for a date, they should not talk about work at all. But they end up talking about work, and Drew is sharing how she has a lot of things going on for herself, for her business, music wise, acting wise, a lot going on. But also, Ralph, he wants to also share that he has a lot going on personally too as well, business wise. So I feel like these two seem to be one upping each other in this whole conversation on who's the busiest. But at the end of the day, Drew communicates with Ralph that, this means that Ralph will have to chip in a little bit more to the household as she will be away filming for um, Candy and Todd's film. So this creates a dilemma for Ralph because Ralph feels like he doesn't want to be pulled away from his assignments. He seems to travel a lot for what he has to do, even though I don't know much, but he seems to travel a lot. But from what we can refer to, guys, that trip to Tampa, him traveling, it did not end up well for his relationship. So I'm just feeling for Drew at this moment because I know this was not an easy thing to tell him, and I felt like she purposely told him on the cameras for us as to be a witness. I feel like because I feel like is she like recording everything to have on the record so she could take it to divorce court to indicate the situations where Ralph is just mean because I didn't like how his response was that he is not daddy daycare. But, sir, these are your kids. They come from you too. It cannot be just all on Drew. I thought that was so off putting. And I felt like, okay, Drew, do what you got to do. Have everything on tape so you could take it to the courthouse and, and make your case. Now, Drew, she does not seem to be wanting to end the marriage. She doesn't want to enter a marriage in intent to fail, No one does. But girl, the scenario is not helping. It seems like ever since they entered to the Housewives franchise, their relationship has been on the decline. And I don't know, well, we do know. They did come in with issues, and I feel like the show is highlighting these issues where it's transparent not only to Drew, but to us as viewers. So I can't imagine being in her shoes right now, having to watch this over like as if, as therapy, So, Ralph, you're not helping yourself, and it's so unfortunate because we did see positive and good moments with Ralph. But for him to say that he's not daddy daycare, he's not like Todd, he's not going to raise these kids on his own, sir, that is so distasteful and left a bad taste in my mouth. Now, Drew refocused on her goal and she shares with Ralph that she wants to do a mental health retreat pretty much inspired from the Portugal trip, but we're taking it now here in Atlanta with emphasis on her sister and her mental health journey. She wants to bring that for the girls here in Atlanta. So that's a big assignment for her. She's very excited about this and very passionate about this. And we kind of see through her eyes cuz she mentioned that her sister going through this journey inspires her to do some independent work and learning from her sister that her mental health started to go into decline because of her divorce. I see similar a mirror of pretty much Drew's situation. So I wonder if Drew is taking like the head start in preparing herself for the worst, getting her mental ready for what we know is to come because it doesn't seem like the relationship, the marriage is progressing forward. They've been filming, I think this is Drew's third, I think her third or second season, and I haven't seen progress in their marriage. Even though, Ralph wants to say that he hasn't had so much blowups as it was prior to this season, but still, I don't see how their communication has improved. I haven't seen the teamwork improve. I have seen him get along with the sister, which seems to be something that Drew was very worried about initially, and that miraculously was seamless in that situation. But overall, this is so unfortunate, so sad. So sad for Drew. I feel for her. Now, moving on, we are seeing Sandra in her home. And it's a little bit off for me. I don't know for you guys, but to see Christmas decorations in summer. I understand that this is filmed prior and, the put out date, there maybe had been a delay, but it's so weird to see Christmas during summer. And I will keep saying that because it's so weird to see the time frame of where everything is taking place. And so yeah. So Sanya, she calls her husband to the bedroom and she wants to go over some notes for some plans or whatever. And this was pretty much her way to do um an announcement to her husband that she's pregnant. So her husband is so gagged and so excited about this whole situation. This is gonna be different because this is baby number two, and they've been wanting this for so long. So this is amazing for them. Congratulations to Sanya's pregnancy. But it doesn't end here. Sanya, she also wants to surprise her family too as well. So she goes downstairs and they put on a sweater on, two sweaters on. Sanya's sweater says we're, and her husband's sweater says pregnant. So they are, gathering the family together and it's supposed to be like a family meeting. So everyone thinks it's like normal, a typical situation. And, Sanya, she turns around and she surprised her family. And everyone picks up on the message aside from the mother, which I thought was so hilarious and so funny. So for the slow mama was a little slow. Sanya had to get up and close and take a pause for her to pretty much understand what was going on. And she was so excited. And I felt so happy for Sonia in this moment to share this kind of happiness to us as viewers. Even though I had my comments about Sonia, I am super happy for her that she successfully is pregnant and she's carrying this baby, baby number two. So I'm super happy for her. And it was hilarious that the sister quickly said, okay, we found an apartment that we actually like. And she's aware that, she got to move because, a pregnant Sonya may be doing extra than this normal day to day Sonya that she's experiencing. So I don't blame her whatsoever. Sanya, she feels like, maybe her family doesn't have to move so quickly. She's going to be pregnant, but she is prepared to have a nanny and, hire help to assist her with this baby and not put too much on her sister and her family. Which is nice. She's respecting boundaries, which is progress that we like to see from Sanya. So now we're going to see Sanya bumping around with her new baby in her belly, which is going to be super cute. I'm so happy for Sanya. Congratulations once again. Now, over at Moore Manor, Kenya Summer Moore has over Candy and Shamia. We haven't seen Shamia in a minute, and I'm wondering when these two became friends once again because I know Shamia was besties with Portia. So now to see Shamia in this whole situation, it's amazing. So what we learned, an update from Shamia, she is pregnant with her second child, but she's not actually pregnant. She actually is using Candy's surrogate to carry this baby, which is I never heard of that before. That's amazing. But Candy, she picks and hires the best. So I wouldn't blame Shamia from picking and hiring the best too as well. But we also learned that, Kenya, she announces to the ladies that she's looking to also have a surrogate or try to have a second baby. And everyone is happy and excited. Candy and Shamia is excited for her, but they're wondering like with who? Who's gonna be the baby daddy? So of course Candy gets right into it and asks who are you gonna have this baby with. So Kenya, she shares that she's gonna have this baby. She has embryos left over with Mark. And the girls are so shocked. They're like, really? With Mark? How is that gonna work? Are you gonna have to ask his permission? What are you gonna do if he says no? Shamia's already like, oh, that's perfect, amazing. Just move forward, regardless of what he says, yes or no. Now, Kenya shares that, as she mentioned before earlier in the season, that she do intend to tell Mark. But I don't think she's gonna stop if he says no. She's really set on having, one father for her children. So she's considering proceeding further with the embryos that she already has and give Brooklyn the sibling that she wants her to have. I think that is a beautiful thing. I hope it works out for her. Kenya, I'm rooting for her. She has gone through a lot. We have seen her growth. We've seen her up. We've seen her down. But child, I just want her and Brooklyn to be happy. Mark, just let these ladies be. Just let them be and move on and move forward, okay? Now the ladies do get into some tea. It is brought up that Sheree had a birthday dinner and Candy was not invited. But I felt like the reason why Candy was not invited is kind of valid. Sheree didn't really wanted to invite Candy because she knows that she's gonna say no. And at some point that makes sense. Like if everyone always constantly invites you and you're constantly saying no, you're not gonna get an invite anymore. So I kind of understood that. We learned that a little bit later, but I wanted to give that into some context. So the tea that was spilled over Sheree's birthday was that Martell was asking these ladies to cash app him some money to pay the bill. Sorry, you're supposed to be her man. You're supposed to be her provider. You're supposed to be her boyfriend. Like, you're not gonna pay the bill? You're not gonna pay the bill? So you should have had that ready. So the girls are dragging Martell. And funny enough, Candy finds it quite shady that the people that Sheree invited to her birthday dinner are all shading Martell, okay? And she's like the one who hasn't shaded Martell apparently, but she's like, wow, flabbergasted. But I think that was quite poor. We do get a confessional with Sheree, and Sheree shares that Martell did get her an Alexander McQueen bag, but she did. It sounded like she kind of made it up on the fly because she didn't say it with such confidence. I feel like, and she said that, he didn't get like a high name brand product. Alexander McQueen, I feel like, is high, but there are also some low end items from Alexander McQueen. So I get what she was saying. So she said that the gift was budget friendly, and I was looking at Sheree in her confessional. She is so gorgeous, so beautiful. I felt like, no, she should have the world. I feel like she should be treated so much better than how she's being treated right now. Because Martell is not it, and I'm another person shading Martell. I'm not here for Martell whatsoever. Let's get into the main event. So, this mental health event, I felt like was much needed. And we saw some of the ladies appreciated the event and some ladies was over the event. So, first of all, this event had no alcohol. So, that is a problem for some of the ladies. But, they're being true to the cause and having just health juices, So as Drew welcomed all the ladies into her event, a beautiful event, she organized it. It was quite beautiful. I was impressed. Okay, so everyone was entering into the room, and we have the husbands. They also are attending this event. So now the husbands are into the situation, and Drew's husband, Ralph, does not acknowledge Drew whatsoever. But we kind of get some side information saying that, oh, he thought he was going to hug her, but she hugged Sanya's husband first when he felt like, okay, you should have hugged me first. But I feel like that was a little bit immature and very narcissistic like. I don't want to say that, but it did give this vibe off. And I felt for Drew because everyone in the room clearly saw Ralph hug everyone, acknowledge everyone else in the room except his wife. And I felt like that was quite childish, quite uncalled for. And I felt like, okay, this is another thing that, Drew's gonna have on camera to show, to take it to the courthouse to prove neglect by her man. But seriously, Ralph, that was so immature and so uncalled for and so unnecessary. I felt like that was not a way to prove your point as a man. If you had an issue or you feel like, you're not being I feel like I get a sense that he feels like he's not appreciated. He wants attention, and since he's unable to communicate that because he doesn't go to counseling, he doesn't seek help, he does this. And Drew is better than most because ain't no way. Ain't no way my man's gonna just show up to my event and acknowledge everyone else in the room and ignore me, and everyone is seeing that and witnessing that. That was so awkward. Super awkward. So anywho, the ladies are experiencing the event, and Sheree, she felt like, wow, Drew, I'm glad you're inspired by my Portugal trip. And I felt like, Sheree, this is a good thing. I felt like these ladies really did need it because you did see Candy get emotional, Kenya get emotional. Now, Marlo was over it. There was no alcohol in this event. She was over this. She felt like the room smelled. I thought that was hilarious. But overall, the ladies, I think for the most part, did enjoy this. It did open up some conversations, and these conversations were surprisingly started by Miss Cynthia Bailey, who was attending this event too as well. I feel like Cynthia, she wants to come back and she wants to show us that she's here to mix the pot. So she brings up the whole situation about a lawsuit that was going on, and Drew was not being clear. I felt like the lawsuit was for 1,000. Now she says 10,000. And then the shady producers, they share clips of the actual lawsuits showing 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So, Drew says, she gives an update. She says that she's going to learn the result of her case in 30 days. But ultimately, she wants it thrown out. I want it thrown out for her too, because that is disgusting that you try to hire someone to cook you food and there's hair in the food. And on top of that, you want this person to nanny your kids? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. So, anywho, I felt like the retreat was a success. We did see the guys, they bond together and talk about, the case too as well. And I just felt like, okay, the guys, they're trying to have a connection, but it's not as strong as Jersey. I felt like this group is a little bit forced when it comes to the guys' connection. I think, we need to see the guys to have one-on-one time, like do something officially, because I felt like they wasn't doing too much that needed a whole scene to be dedicated to them. Okay, now back to the ladies. Manetta did try to cause some commotion in this little event. She shares how Courtney referred to Drew as a bitch. She referred to Drew as a bitch, her cousin. Okay, her cousin. And Drew's sitting there like, oh my god, my cousin, how could you? But I felt like, this is once again is a tired storyline plot that we've seen before in this franchise precisely. Like, all these ladies call each other the B word. Like, it's nothing to them, so I don't know why they're trying to make it into a big deal or create friction between Courtney and Drew, when already, come on, you ladies see that Drew is going through enough, y'all. She's going through enough, so I don't want to pile on to Drew. Okay, so we end the retreat and we do get to see Drew, who's been carrying the season, unfortunately, but fortunately, unfortunately, okay? So we see Drew go into counseling with the same man that we've seen before prior with her husband doing counseling, okay? And so he's getting the update from Drew and inquiring pretty much been going what's been going on with her marriage. And Drew, she's unable to report positive news to her counselor. She's actually quite honest and open about what's going on, which was, the counselor felt for her and was quite disappointed in the situation. And we do see Drew get very super emotional and kind of circle back to her point on focusing on her and her mental health and her independence in that. But as you know, she's in a marriage. So where does that leave her? It's such an awkward situation that she is in that I want to see, like, how do we get, like, how far? Okay, so Ralph's husband, no, so Drew's husband birthday was early in the year. So she throws him a big birthday party, and then shortly after, maybe 2 months after, she files for divorce. So I felt like understanding this in my head, the timeline of events, I feel like she's gonna continue to try. Drew keeps trying to the end, and we're gonna, I guess, see what was the breaking point. Woo, this is a lot, y'all. This is a lot, and I feel for Drew. Once again, how would I rate this episode? I not quite high, honestly. I felt like, we did get some positive news. The ladies, they did the work in the retreat, but it wasn't fun. I think the only funny moment for me in this whole episode was when Ralph referred to himself. He wants to be Barack and Obama. He wants him and Drew to be Barack and Obama, and I felt like, okay, that's a little funny. But overall, there's no funny moments. I did appreciate the scenes with the kids, Brooklyn beating up Kenya. But overall, I felt like ladies, I think the ladies are done. Let's hang it up. Let's hang it up. Let's hang it up because I don't see any much more to give. Oh, we do have to talk about Candy. She had a table read. Well, Todd had a table read because this is Todd's passion project, the Hall Pass film. And I thought it was pretty good. We did get to see a little preview of it. And I'm excited for that because I feel like, okay, Todd, you really did this. You really put this all together. And this is going to be good for him and Candy's marriage because they did struggle with finding the balance and focusing on each other's passion. So that's pretty good that we get to see at least one marriage work out on the Housewives situation here in Atlanta. But overall, guys, I don't know what's the next episode gonna be because the highlights was okay for the preview, but I am not excited. I am not thrilled. I'm actually quite tired, and I'm actually honestly would be looking so much forward to having a new fresh group of girls. I'm ready to meet some new girls. Okay, so guys, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments down below. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe because I appreciate when you guys do. That makes my heart melt. It makes my heart go boom, boom, boom. So, guys, I'll see you guys later. And as always, share as much kindness as possible. Love you guys and stay tuned for more. Bye.